He went to the bathroom 10 times a day, but never wiped. Instead, he rolled the toilet paper into little balls, dampened them, squeezed out the excess water, applied glue to hold their shape, wrapped them in more paper, and through repeated pressing and molding, eventually crafted a working key to break out of prison. When a guard removed Mike's handcuffs, he quietly stuffed the paper wad into the keyhole, allowing him to easily push open the small window and reach the electronic lock outside. But the question remained, how would he get the passcode? The clever Mike glanced at the milk carton in his hand and instantly had an idea. He flattened the carton, unfolded it, and used a spoon to scrape out the waxy lining inside. When the guards weren't looking, he pressed the wax film onto the keypad. This way, when someone entered the code, their fingerprints would be left behind. And by matching those prints to the buttons, he could figure out the 4-digit combination. After some trial and error, the cell door finally swung open. But Mike knew that escaping would take much more than that. He needed 2 things. First, to learn the guards' patrol patterns and find the right window of opportunity. Second, someone on the outside to help him get away. This seemingly airtight prison actually had one fatal flaw. Right next to solitary confinement was a fire station with 0 security. So Mike deliberately started trouble and got himself thrown into solitary. There, he carefully observed and discovered that only 2 guards were on duty, and they often stepped out to chat, giving him his chance. Through the iron grating above the isolation cell, Mike could clearly hear the door opening and closing on the rooftop, and he calculated that the guard's smoke breaks lasted about 7 minutes. Then he used the surveillance cameras to relay his escape timeline to a hacker friend. With everything in place, the operation officially began. After opening the coded lock, Mike first rewound the surveillance footage to create the illusion that he was still in his cell, buying himself more time. He then made his way through the ventilation ducts to the fire station and changed into a firefighter's uniform. Meanwhile, the 2 guards were still chatting on the rooftop. That's when a female teammate made her move. She deliberately set off an explosion in the parking lot next to the prison, drawing out the fire crew. Mike had already hidden under one of the trucks, and with everyone rushing to fight the fire, no one noticed him. In the end, Mike successfully hitched a ride with his teammates and escaped the prison. Here's the twist. He wasn't actually a criminal. He was a professional escape artist hired by the Federal Bureau of Prisons to test the security of maximum security facilities across the country. His method was to get locked up under a fake identity and then break out using nothing but his wits. Over the past 7 years, Mike had taken on 15 top-tier prisons, and not a single one could hold him. Then one day, some CIA agents came knocking, telling him about a mysterious prison that housed criminals no country was willing to take in. The CIA wanted to test the security of this facility, but they didn't even know where it was located. It was an extremely risky mission, yet Mike agreed. Before long, the day of his capture arrived. Before setting out, his team implanted a GPS tracker in his arm. Once he reached the outside location, Mike was quickly grabbed, but he didn't expect these people to be so brutal. They first hit him with a stun gun, then as if they already knew his tricks, they dug the GPS out of his arm with a tool. Finally, they injected a sedative into his neck, knocking him out cold. When Mike regained consciousness, he found himself facing a warden in a suit. Feeling uneasy, Mike said this mission was way too violent and he wanted out. He uttered the extraction code, "I love KFC," and demanded the warden release him. But the warden completely ignored him and threw him into a cell anyway. It turned out the warden had already made a deal with someone who wanted Mike dead, planning to lock him up for the rest of his life. But Mike obviously wasn't about to go down without a fight. The problem was, this was the most secure prison on the planet. Every cell was made of reinforced glass, and even using the toilet was fully exposed to surveillance cameras. There was no way to make any secret moves. The cells were suspended in midair, making traditional tunnel escapes impossible.